My first question is, how did you first get introduced, or what brought you to start coaching at HBCU?
I started off at the PWI, and there were some practices where I had recruited about 15 African American student athletes, and we went out to Eastern Illinois. And that very first year, we won a national championship. Well, of course, the staff was Mike Shanahan, John Teerlink, Darryl Mutra was the head coach. And there were practices where young men would go out and do a great job, and maybe the next day they came back, it wasn't as good. And it was amazing how their value just kind of dropped from one day to the other. And in my mind, I wanted to know why, all right? Because I always looked at coaching as more than X's and O's, but really a ministry. It's a vehicle to create a path that would take young men from whatever situation they're in to success. And to me, I always said, it's more to being an athlete than a uniform rack. It's more to you than that. So when I saw those instances where a young man did well in practice, he was a great guy. The next day, he didn't do as well. Nobody cared to ask the question, why? And, to me, if he showed you one day that he can get it done and the next day he does not, there's a reason for that. So my wife and I just decided that we wanted to be in a situation where we could create the most impact. And that to me was at the HBCU.
So what was it like your first year as a head coach at an HBCU? Just walk me through a little bit what that experience was like.
Well, you kind of get trained for it all because you probably the equipment manager, you are the SID, you are the marketing person, you're actually going to go and buy the lime, and you're going to line the football field, you're going to probably cut the foot. So I always tell people my first experience as a head coach at Virginia Union prepared me to move forward. After 8 years at Virginia Union, when I went on to Hampton, I had full-time SIDs, full-time equipment people, and it allowed me to now be a coach because my first experience, like I said, you kind of had to do a little bit of it all. So maybe you didn't watch as much film. And even though we were successful my first 8 years, and I guess that's why when we got to Hampton, we were there for 16 years and we won 13 championships.
Right. So my next question kind of goes into your former players or coaches. Is there anyone memorable that really sticks out, or any kind of experiences you had with those players or coaches during your time at any of the universities you were at?
Marcus Dixon, this young man ended up starting for us as a student athlete, was on the honor roll the whole 4 years. We won I think we won 4 championships the whole time he was there. He ended up becoming the president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes that we had. After graduation, he went to the Dallas Cowboys. And from that point, of course, he coached here, not here, but at a high school. He coached at Hampton. And now he is the defensive line coach, and they're on their way to the conference championship with the LA Rams. So that's just one, but there's so many of them. I wrote a book called The Making of a Champion, Success is an Inconvenience. And in that book, it really talks about a lot of the players. Actually, they have testimonies, and they all talked about how crazy they thought I was. only to find out after they graduated that what I was saying was more about manhood and not just becoming a successful athlete, but a successful person.
Going off that, memorable players, do you have a memorable moment from your, illustrious career of coaching?
The one that comes to mind, I would think, is Eddie Robinson, the late, great Eddie Robinson, was a mentor. In fact, I used to call him maybe 2 or 3 times a week. When I was the head coach here, he always played a game in New York called the Whitney M. Young Classic. It started with him and Morgan, with the great Earl Banks. But he was looking for a team to fill in for Morgan one year. And he came here, we had a press conference, and of course, we Division II, he was a great Grambling. In fact, his water boy was probably bigger than my largest player I had on my team. And he was looking for a little team to go up to New York and more or less impress his alumni. Of course, raise funds because, New York, in my mind, that's the mecca media area in the country. But anyway, we go up and we went up on Wednesday because I knew I wanted to practice on Thursday and Friday and be ready for Grambling on Saturday. Well, just as I said, I thought that Thursday we went out there and the players are looking around, so, ooh, just can't believe they in the stadium. And when we went out to practice, I don't think we remembered not one play. So that was good. We came back Friday and they remembered probably about half of the plays. But by Saturday, they were kind of familiar. And we ended up winning that game 46-37. And to look across the field and see my mentor, one of the greatest to ever do this, to ever coach, there was sometimes I forgot to even call a play because I'm just looking at Eddie saying, I'm really on the same field with Eddie Robinson, and he is across the field. But to win that game against a great program like Grambling, that has to stick out as one of the greatest moments.
I guess my next question, and it's a little more easy, or maybe not. I don't think it's as easy. Who has the best homecoming and why?
Whoa, I would have to go directly to Florida A&M. At the time I was there, they had a band that consisted of 435 members. In fact, there were days I would leave practice in football, and I would just go and watch Julian White marching 100 because it was just, to me, it was one of the most fascinating performances that I've ever seen. And in fact, my family, they used to come to homecomings at Virginia Union. They came to homecomings at Hampton. But after they came down to Tallahassee and they witnessed that homecoming, they said it's no greater homecoming in America because it's such a great brand.
So my next question is kind of what you're doing currently. What kept you still involved after your coaching days were over with HBCUs and then, of course, back at Virginia Union University?
Well, that's a good question because I really have retired. I was the late Bobby Bowden, and I was out, playing golf a couple of days a week. But I read somewhere that the most talent that you can find is in a graveyard. So many people have talent, but they don't share it, and they end up taking it with them. In my situation, I guess you would say I'm going to die empty. I'm not going to take anything with me. I'm going to give it all I got. I know it's the good Lord's work. It's Him that's guiding me because I'm up every morning at 4:30 and I don't have no alarm clock. And I look forward to coming in, and I'm using the same philosophy I did as a coach. You get a good team around you, you communicate. you set the objectives and goals that you're trying to meet. You communicate it. As a coach, as I look at the success that I had, it was always about eliminating waste and maximizing your, efficiency. And I think at my age, which I'm 71, if someone wants you around, they think that you bring value, I think that's a blessing.
My last question for you is, what's your message to the next generation of both players and coaches at HBCUs?
Well, the key to me is, I always told my team this, I always told my sons this. The key to life and success in life is about options. It's okay to go to the PWIs. It's okay to go to the HBCU. The bottom line is go where you are comfortable. Go where, you know, some people just need, because Eddie Robinson used to say this all the time when he was recruiting. There's enough talent out there. Sometimes you might have to go a little bit further back off the road, but there's talent everywhere. So just don't ever get upset about where everybody else is going, because you need to go where it makes you comfortable. Some might, because that article that I read, and I probably didn't finish it though, but it was saying that the reason so many African Americans do well coming out of HBCUs is because for 4 or 5 years, somebody's always telling you what you can do. They are motivating you to do the best you can, versus being in a situation where no matter how well you perform or how much value you bring, you're still going to be given the grade of a C just because of the color of your skin. So some need to go where they need to be reminded that you are somebody, that you are not a mistake, that you are valuable. So don't look at where you go, but just know that wherever you go, just reach for the stars. Try to be the best that you can. And there's a place for all of us. We just got to find it. And when you do find it, seize it and just do your very best. And life will have success. You will have success in your life.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, Coach. I really appreciate it.